Hi, my name is Martin Arandia. Have you or a loved one ever experienced
Headaches, itching, chills, coughing, fever, pus-filled wounds?
If they do, they might have methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, or MRSA. MRSA is a bacterium that causes a number of hard-to-treat infections. It is a drug-resistant strain of Staphylococcus aureus, which is a spherical bacterium that is the most common cause of staph infections. Why should you care? With more and more people becoming infected each year and dying, it's important to know whether or not you're a carrier and how to prevent the spread of this disease. It was first discovered by British scientists when they realized that continually treating people that had staph infections with methicillin allowed for microbes to evolve into a superbug that was resistant to most penicillin-related antibiotics. It is typically carried in humans who either carry it asymptomatically or develop opportunistic infections. However, animals can also carry the virus. For humans, the bacteria can usually be found in the armpit, groin, nose, and throat. The first reported human case of MRSA in the U.S. came in 1968 and is now most common in densely populated countries.
In a U.S. surveillance report of over 24,000 cases of hospital-acquired Staphylococcus aureus bloodstream infections, isolates with methicillin resistance increased from 22 to 57% between 1995 and 2001. Worldwide, hospital-acquired MRSA prevalence varies considerably from less than 1% in Scandinavia to up to 40% in Japan, Israel, and elsewhere in Europe. Community-acquired MRSA was initially reported among injection drug users in the early 1980s and has since become the most frequent cause of skin and soft tissue infections presented in the United States. Community outbreaks have been reported in multiple settings such as Native and Aboriginal communities, sports teams, child care centers, and military personnel. The community-acquired MRSA and hospital-acquired MRSA classifications are no longer distinct since patients can develop MRSA colonization in one realm and develop manifestations of infection in another.
Each year, 90,000 Americans suffer from invasive MRSA and about 20,000 die, many of whom are children and old people. About 1 in 3 people carry the MRSA virus, many of whom are unaware that they carry it. The 5 C's that contribute to the spread of MRSA are crowded living conditions, cuts and abrasions on the skin, lack of cleanliness, close skin-to-skin contact, and contact with contaminated items.
Community-acquired MRSA can be spread by not washing hands, sharing personal items such as razors, and other personal items such as towels and clothing. Also, skin-to-skin contact. Hospital-acquired MRSA can be spread by direct contact with contaminated tools, contaminated linens, pus-filled wounds, and discharge from pus-filled wounds. Doctors go about diagnosing the disease by starting with a complete history and physical exam of the patient to identify any skin changes that may be due to MRSA. If possible, a sample of pus is taken and cultured for Staphylococcus aureus. Staphylococcus aureus bacteria that grow well when methicillin is in the culture are termed MRSA, and the patient is diagnosed as MRSA infected. To screen MRSA carriers, doctors swab the patient's skin or inside their nose. A result of maroon colonies indicate that the person is a MRSA carrier. There are rapid screening tests that can detect the presence of MRSA DNA material, such as polymerase chain reaction, in the blood sample in as little as 2 hours. The test is able to determine whether genetic material is from MRSA.
But don't worry, despite this bug's antibiotic resistance, treatments are still available. Because multiple strains of MRSA exist, the particular strain you will have will be tested so that you will receive effective treatment. A common form of antibiotic treatment is vancomycin, which inhibits bacterial cell wall synthesis of MRSA cells. This stops the bacteria from growing and dividing properly. Other antibiotics include trimethoprim and clindamycin. Additionally, having cysts drained is another form of treatment. Consult your doctor to see what treatments are right for you. Although treatment is readily available, MRSA infection is preventable. Frequent hand washing, trimming fingernails, not sharing personal care items, and practicing other hygienic practices will prevent bacterial buildup and greatly reduce the risk of MRSA infection.
Currently, the MRSA Research Center Lab collaborates with the University of Chicago Medical Center Clinical Microbiology Lab to collect all MRSA strains obtained from patients seen every day to build up a database that can later be analyzed for demographic characteristics of patients from whom the isolates are recovered, as well as the isolates' genetic characteristics and antimicrobial resistance profiles. Additionally, they are running 2 research projects. The first is trying to see if some strains of S. aureus isolates that have different genotype backgrounds are more likely to colonize on different parts of the body, while the second is a study assessing whether the antibiotic susceptibility profiles of genotypically and clinically defined community-acquired MRSA isolates obtained from patients at the University of Chicago are changing over time. If you're interested in learning more about these projects, feel free to read these paragraphs taken from their page or follow this link to learn more. In January 2018, it was published in the Medical News Today that Dr. Sanjib Bhakta and his team at the Institute of Structural and Molecular Biology at Birkbeck, University of London, identified a number of synthesized onion-derived compounds that showed inhibitory effects against many bacteria, including MRSA, showing possible use of enhanced naturally sourced compounds to help fight drug-resistant bacteria. If you're curious to learn more, follow the link here. If we cannot find a way to better treat this disease, more and more strains of S. aureus will develop stronger antibiotic resistance, which could lead to more hospital stays, higher hospital bills, and mortality rates from this disease in the near future. The take-home message is, take big precautions in being sanitary in your community, and be sure to talk to your doctor or any medical professional working in a hospital about your concerns for staying MRSA-free. And don't be afraid to raise awareness about the importance of antibiotic resistance and heading towards a post-antibiotic era, because don't forget, knowledge is power.